Let me start by stating I'm a 24-year-old female and downloaded Tinder to see what it was all about. I didn't put too much into it though. I never took it seriously. I never take much seriously. Most of the things I do are for a laugh. I think I tend to forget that the internet is not a game and that there are real-life people behind that screen. I get on the bus back home after a long day of running errands. I sit down and from the corner of my eye, notice a heavy-set man staring at me. I'm used to being stared at, so I ignore him. Also note, my Tinder account has been officially terminated months ago. I sneeze, he says bless you, and I say thank you. He was a heavy-set guy with full hair, green eyes, and an olive complexion. He then hands me a tissue. It's clean, don't worry. And then he gives me a piece of gum, 5 gum to be exact. I say thank you and throw it in my backpack. 1 mile, he says. Based on how he speaks, I think he might be a little on the special side. His voice was slow and low. Huh? 1 mile. That was on your Tinder. It said you were 1 mile away. I recognize you. We spoke for a bit. Then you stopped chatting. He then gives me one of those chocolate balls that are wrapped in all fancy like red. I then nervously giggled and told him I deleted my account. To be honest, I didn't even remember chatting with him. I would just swipe right on any and everybody. He asked me repeatedly for my number, and I gave it to him because I'm really bad at rejecting people in person. He immediately called me to confirm it was my number. And at this point I got off at a different bus stop, close to home but not too close, and sped walked home. I threw away his candies, blocked his number, and I really hope it was just a coincidence, and that he wasn't trying to find me. My whole life my mum was single, and tried hard with the best of intentions to find me a suitable father figure. My own father is a homeless drug addict who was out of my life long before this. I was about 10 at the time, and we were visiting a friend of hers who had kids that I got along well with. Her friend was always trying to hook up my mum, also with good intentions. We had been visiting all day and it was getting late, and I was tired and ready to go home. I go through the house and find my mum on the patio talking with the guy she was to be hooked up with that night. As I stepped out onto the patio and set eyes on him, I was immediately stricken with a deep-seated feeling of dread and wanted nothing more than to get my mum away from him as fast as possible. In fact, looking back at his face, he almost seemed evil in a way I cannot explain. As this hit me, I tried to stay calm, and I asked my mum to come inside so that I could speak with her. She came inside and I told her I wanted to leave as soon as possible, sensing that I was feeling distressed for some reason. And being the great mum who always listens to me in situations like this, she said okay, and soon after we left. As soon as we were on the road, I told my mum exactly how I felt and that I didn't want her to ever see or speak to him again. Once again, not wanting to upset me, she said okay and didn't speak to him again. Maybe 6 months later, my mum's friend calls to gossip as they frequently did, and she tells my mum that the same man from the night was now in prison. He had gotten together with a woman who had 2 kids, and one night he ended up locking the kids in a closet in the same room, and he had their mum tied to a bed and repeatedly raped her. My mum was sitting on the floor of the living room reading the newspaper, as she usually did while on the phone with her friend, and I was on the couch next to her watching TV. And I will never forget the look she gave me as she told me this news.